like a window, no window, look at the videos, say yourself that could have been you.
Because they're like, Sanya on. And everybody on the East Coast calls me Don. I'm like, what is Don?
My mom thought I was on Long Island, but I was at Howard Homecoming. Turn it up.
Let's go. No, there is nothing wrong with your audio or your visual. I'm just giving myself my applause. Not waiting for anyone to give me an applause, not waiting for anyone to give me my flowers. I'm going to acknowledge my work myself. So let the applause play. Welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya on Air. I'm your host, Sanya Hudson-Payne, and how do I start off each and every single show? You guessed it. I have another great show for you. Coming up in just a few short moments, I have the legendary Freeway Rick Ross. Now, for those of you who do not know who Freeway Rick Ross is, please do not confuse him with the rapper Rick Ross. Now, the rapper Rick Ross, he stole, allegedly, or borrowed his name from Freeway Rick Ross, who was considered to be one of the biggest drug kingpins. Did I say kingpins? Kingpins the United States has ever seen. So big to the point that he was sentenced to life in prison. While he was in prison, he decided to do some research on his own case, and it was discovered that there were a few corrupt CIA informants, and also former President Ronald Reagan, we all know that he was corrupt, had a heavy hand in making sure that he supplied Rick Ross with the drugs in order to go into the Black communities. Upon his appeal and release from prison, Freeway Rick Ross really turned his entire life around. When we have this conversation, you will be able to tap into how he managed to legally monetize the game. This is a conversation that everyone needs to hear, especially for those who are living a life of crime, child. Because those who live a life of crime, sometimes they think that there aren't any options. There's no way out. This is a testimony that you too can legally monetize the game. But before I bring in Freeway Rick Ross, do me a favor. Make sure that you subscribe to every Sanya On Air streaming platform. Sanya On Air streams across YouTube. And if you're watching this interview on YouTube, do another thing. Make sure you hit the notification button. What that means is when you hit the notification button, every time I upload an all new Sanya On Air celebrity interview, you will be the first to know. Sanya On Air streams across, like I said, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Alexa, Pandora, Buzzsprout, and Castbox, just to name a few. So make sure that you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you go ahead and share with everybody, even your enemies. Just show them that you just listen and watch all things great. Okay, so make sure you subscribe to every Sanya On Air streaming platform. If you forget where Sanya On Air is streaming, just look in the description section of this episode and I will provide the links to all things Sanya On Air. Okay, so let's just pause for the cause for a few quick moments for some commercial breaks, and I'll be right back with Sanya On Air. How else can you support? Cash App. Cash App me at $Sanya Hudson. That's Sanyahudson. By purchasing Sanya On Air merchandise, you feel balanced with your values, identity, and integrity. Sanya On Air products allow you to make a bold statement while also being an influencer of positive social change. Get your Sanya On Air Empower merch today. Meal delivery just got faster and easier thanks to Instacart. I mean, who has time to go grocery shopping and cook Not me, child. I got other things going on in the evening time. Now, let me tell you how you too can have more time in the evening. All you have to do is click on the unique Sanya On Air Instacart link and use the special code MEALS10US and get $10 off ready-to-eat meals of $35 or more. And then guess what? Those ready-to-eat meals are delivered directly to your home from your local grocery store. Welcome back to Sanya On Air, and I am going to jump right into the entertainment review. I am going to be talking about the infamous Real Housewives of New Jersey. Now, if you are, let's say, somewhere in Arkansas, just sitting under a tree, just sipping some lemonade, and you don't even have a television, let me tell you what the Real Housewives of New Jersey is all about. So it follows housewives who live in New Jersey, and they are all toxic friends. Another toxic friend show. So let me just tell you about some of these reality personalities. So let's start with Jennifer. Now, on the latest episode of Real Housewives of New Jersey, we found out that Jennifer's husband cheated on her 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, she forgave him. Now, let me just add a little salt up in there. Jennifer's husband cheated on her while she was pregnant, and she forgave him. She forgave him. I'm not judging at all. I'm not judging whatever Jennifer, Benifer, Shaquisha, Yolanda, Becky, Mary, Susan, whatever they want to do, that is their business, okay? But it all came boiling to a head on the latest episode of Real Housewives of New Jersey, because Miss Margaret, she had a score to settle, and she used Teresa's barbecue to hash out old, archaic old, swing low, swing high low, civil rights old, Amistad old. She brought up history books of old scandal and gossip, and she told everyone at Teresa's barbecue, Jennifer, you can't talk because your husband cheated on you, child. It sent Jennifer spiraling to the point where there was another event, a barbecue that Dolores had at her house, and you should have seen Jennifer tiptoeing, like she was just not trying to. You ever heard, don't step on a crack when you're walking on the sidewalk? Well, child, she was walking in Dolores's house like, I'm not trying to step on any cracks. It may have your best baccarat on the floor. I don't want to break it. And then all of a sudden, she just starts crying because she says she feels uncomfortable. She doesn't know what to say. Everyone knows her personal business, and she didn't even know how to engage with the rest of the guests. Child, Dolores came over because Dolores remembered, or they reminded Dolores, that Jennifer is always talking about everyone else's personal business. She doesn't care. There's just no filter with her. So Dolores was like, yeah, you're right. Jennifer has always told everyone's business. So Dolores walks over to Jennifer and she's just like, why are you crying? You talk about everybody else. So you mean to tell me that we can't talk about you? Mm-hmm. Jennifer packed up, child, and she just got in her car and she just drove home. But you know what? I don't know about you all, but Dolores is sort of a flip-flopper for me. She just seems to go with whomever she is in front of. I don't trust her. And because, Jennifer is now, Dolores, child, they're just all confusing to me. I should just call them toxic A, toxic B, toxic C, toxic D. Okay? So anyway, that was a good one. I'm going to start naming people that. Once I get to toxic 100, child, I'm moving to Mars because it's too hard. hard out here for a pimp. Okay. But anyway, back to Dolores. She goes with whomever is standing in front of her face, and she gets back into a corner a little bit. So you're going to find on this upcoming episode, she's with the fisticuffs. She is a fist. I was going to say she's a Jersey girl, but I'm a New York City girl, and we don't really look at Jersey people like that, like about that life. I don't know, but Dolores just wants to throw them bowls, okay, on this upcoming episode. So make sure you stay tuned. And then Teresa's brother, Joe, he is upsetting Teresa's kids. You got poor Gia getting more camera time. By the way, is Gia a housewife now? Because she is in the confessionals like every 5 minutes, just all glammed and dolled up. She's getting a check. Let me tell you, like, she's getting a check. How many of you think that Andy forgives Teresa for just about every indiscretion? He does not care how volatile she is on the show. He gives her so many opportunities. And I think because she is divorced from, her husband, Joe Giudice, such a difficult name to pronounce. She's trying to get her finances in order. And Andy's that friend who's just going to say, here's an opportunity. All right, cut the check. Here's another opportunity. Cut the check. You need a friend like that. You need a friend like that. Andy, give me a call. I want to be your bestie. I just don't want to be your friend. I want to be your best friend. I want to be your lover, even though I know that you're not interested in all of this, but maybe. Maybe. But anyway, back to Teresa's brother, Joe. He is upsetting the kids because he is talking about Teresa's ex-husband and he does not care. I get it. Joe is being a protective brother over his sister. I mean, what brother would be okay watching his sister go to jail because her man or her husband sent her there? If your sibling isn't upset, I was going to say something real Brooklyn-like. You might want to ask another family to adopt you. How about that? Okay. So the kids are just like boo-hooing all over the place. Like I said, Gia is in the confessional, just giving all of her emotions and probably cashing checks too. So we will see what happens for the duration of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, where we explore Jersey housewives and toxic friendships. So let's do this. I'll be right back. And just as I promised on Sanya on Air, welcome Freeway Rick Ross.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. Long time no speak.
Yes. It's been a minute.
Yes, but I've been following you on social media like a stalker. You never know who's watching, right?
Thank you. I need that.
I've really been paying attention. Let me tell you something, to the point where when I rebooked you on this show, I'm calling up my friends like, do you know who Freeway Rick Ross is? Like,
and what they say?
Those who told me no, I'm just like, where have you been for all of your life? And I even sat down with them and I had them Google your story.
Uh-oh. I know what happened when they did that.
No. Let me tell you what happened. They were kind of enamored because, it's Black History Month and we were just talking about, the things that the government has done to us people. And it helped me kind of frame this conversation, how you manage to legally monetize the game. So This is what we're going to be talking about. So since our last conversation, you have managed to build your brand in such a way that I said I stalked your social media page. So I just want to talk about some of your brands. Let's start with LA Kingpins. What is that?
Oh, that's my marijuana brand. I started about a year, maybe 4 months ago. I saw the like of us in the cannabis industry here in California, and I felt that I had to jump in to the show us how it's done. so often, people because they don't see us in the business, and they start to think that we're not capable, because inaction and no action are really the same thing, and just because you don't take action don't mean that you can't take action. So I felt that it was important that somebody of color jump in and show them that we can compete.
So true, because you always see us in the spotlight of smoking weed, buying weed, but not actually owning, anything cannabis related. So I'm glad to see that happened. What about the process? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Share your
No,
with the people.
no, it's definitely been a struggle. They make this process hard on purpose. You figure if it was easy, then everybody would be getting involved. So what they do is they make it difficult on purpose so that it would discourage people from getting involved. I mean, the entry level is expensive, and as you know, Black people are broke right now. If people don't know, it's crazy. I was listening to a podcast last night, and it was talking about the football, the NFL football show, halftime show, and one of the highlights that they did was about Mary J. Blige. How on one hand they put in the media that she's worth $20 million, and then on another article they talk about that she can't pay her rent.
Right.
So when you think about the economical situation that we as Blacks are in right now, it's a tough spot.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to the point where yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I was looking at another outlet owned by a woman of color, and Black women weren't even asking for Valentine's Day gifts. Can you believe they just wanted a man to fill up their car with gas? That's how economically strapped the Black. Yeah, just get me to point A to point B, and I'm good. That is sad. Very sad.
It is. I mean, I'd read an article one time, and they were saying something about the average Black woman only had $3 in savings, and I'm like, what? Like, what the hell can you do with $3 now? And I had a discussion with my friends. We were discussing the article, and they argued with me. They was like, well, everybody got some money, and I was like, okay, how many people that you can call and borrow $100 from?
Yes.
And for me myself, I didn't have anybody. I have friends now that I can borrow $100 from, but I help them create their wealth. But when I come home from prison, my resources was very limited, and I believe that that's the situation with most of us in this country, is that our resources is very limited. And one of the things that they require mostly in the marijuana industry is that you have a piece of property to put your dispensary or your grow or whatever part of the industry you want to go in. You got to have property. And so what happens is us not having wealth, it kind of knocks us out the box.
Yeah. So along with having property, about how much capital does a person need in order to own a cannabis business?
It's according to what part you want to go into. Right now I'm building a marijuana grow here in California. And the building by itself, I'm really creative, so I was able to maneuver myself in a position of power with no power. I didn't really have any power, but nobody knew I didn't have any power. So I tied up a $4.5 million building. The actual build out for that building would be about $3 million. So to be in this business that I'm in right now, you would have needed about $7 million.
Wow.
And I actually went into it with less than a couple $100,000. But I took a big chance. Most people wouldn't have took their last $200,000-$300,000 and put it on a bet where when I started, I knew I didn't have the capabilities of finishing, and I knew that if I didn't finish it, that I would lose all my money.
Wow. So did you enter into this business yourself, or do you have partners?
I entered it hoping that I would eventually get partners. They never came, but I got creative and looked like I'm gonna survive. I haven't got out the woods yet, but I can see the end of the woods.
So LA Kingpins, it's an actual brick and mortar building that's open right now?
No, LA Kingpins is a product that I have that I buy the flower from growers. I put it in my jars, and I put it in other people's stores.
Oh.
But I will have my own dispensary. I want a dispensary license. I'm hoping to be open in a few months or weeks. I'm not sure. We're waiting on the city right now to give us the final approval to open up.
So where can we get LA Kingpins? Is it just in LA or is it in other states as well? Because I need something.
LA Kingpin is primarily here in LA. I do have a brand that's in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm negotiating a deal right now in Arizona, and as well as Ohio right now. And I do plan on being in Chicago. I went around the country speaking about social equity, and social equity is basically saying why the industry should allow people of color to have some equity in this business. Because if you look at how many black men and women have went to prison for marijuana, our numbers outnumber anybody else. And so why now that it's legal that we're not allowed to participate in this beautiful business, this cash cow?
Yes. So not only participating in the business, because you are involved in the business, where are they in the conversations with letting go or releasing individuals who are incarcerated because of marijuana charges? Where's the conversation going?
Well, we've been pushing that. Me and my partners, Bo Money and Lynn Lyman, we've been pushing those issues here for a couple of years. That with so many states, I think right now we have like 35 states that's legal. Why are we still putting people in prison for selling a drug? I mean, not a drug, but a plant that's legal in most of the country, and most of the people in this country believe that it should be legal. So why are we still incarcerating people for something that that by all sense of an imagination is legal?
Yeah. So for those individuals who still believe that cannabis is a drug, talk about all of the holistic benefits of cannabis.
Oh my goodness. For me, it helps me sleep at night. I'm always wound up. When all day I'm wound up. I'm like moving. My people say you never stop moving. Well, at night when I come in, I don't sleep very well because I'm tossing and turning and even having nightmares, about being in prison. So if I want to get like a really, really deep sleep, I eat me a little marijuana and I get some of the best sleep I ever had. But it has so many other benefits, and some people even, says that it may cure COVID.
I did hear that. I'm waiting for further research to see if that's actually true. I hope so. But let's move on to another one of your entrepreneurial efforts. You're also a published author.
Two times.
Two times.
Three times.
Talk about the books.
Well, my first book was my autobiography. I wrote that while I was in prison. I was sitting there. I had a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and I was just thinking to myself, what could I do for young people? And I was specifically thinking about young Black people who may venture down the same path that I took. How could I help them navigate their way through this world? Well, it came to me that I could write about my experience, so that if they picked up my book, they could literally start from the beginning. See how I got turned out. Because when I say turn out, I mean I look at myself from selling drugs as somebody that had got turned out. Because at one time I knew absolutely nothing about drugs, and once I got turned out, I fell in love with selling drugs. I wanted it every single day. I couldn't do without it, I thought. But if I couldn't get some cocaine, I would die.
Wow. But you know, I grew up in Brooklyn, in the projects of Brooklyn. So really just saw the crack epidemic and what it's done to families. And this past weekend, I was looking at a series on the Vice channel hosted by Michael K. Williams, and he was talking about scammers and drug dealers. And there was one thing that a drug dealer said that really resonated with me. He said, you know, I stayed in this drug dealing game because nobody told me that there was another option. No one told me how to legally monetize the game. So I'm glad to hear that you decided while you were incarcerated, you know, facing a life sentence, that you wanted to create a piece of literature that gave back to the community, that showed other youth, other drug dealers, how you got kind of hemmed up in this drug game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only me, it's so many of us, you know. When you listen to the stuff that they teach in schools and on TV about how you get introduced to drugs, was totally the opposite of what actually happens in the drug business. You know, they have this monstrous guy who's lurking in the park with a dark jacket on and a hood over his head, and he walks up to you and he tries to get you to use drug. Well, that's not the case. It's usually your father, your mother, your brother, your cousin, somebody close to you is usually the one who introduces you to drugs. And I wanted people to know that it's usually somebody that you trust that can get you for the first time to stick a needle in your arm that you've been told all your life is dangerous. But if you see it not killing them or not making them go crazy, then you say, oh, well, what they told us in school must have been a lie.
Right. Now, what about your second book? What is that about?
My second book is called The 21 Keys to Success. That book is about my first 6 months out of prison. You know, what I had to go through to readjust to society, and how I was able to put my life back together.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, how were you able to put your life back together 6 months after you got out of prison? Because that's not easy. And you kind of brushed over it like, you know, you were brushing your teeth or you were just eating a bag of Doritos. That's not easy. So how did you adjust to life after prison?
Well, it wasn't easy. I won't tell anybody that it was easy. You know, when I got out, my mom's house was in foreclosure. I didn't have a job, no way to support myself. So it wasn't easy at all. But I had made a commitment to myself that no matter what happened, that I wouldn't go back to selling drugs. And I got out of prison before, and what I noticed is that I hadn't absolutely ruled out never. You know, I said that, you know, if certain situations came up, then it may have been possible that I would go back to selling drugs. But when I got out this time, I had made my mind up that it was no way possible that I would go back to selling drugs. And while I was incarcerated, what I did is I educated myself. You know, when I went to prison, I was totally illiterate. But by the time I got out, I had read over 300 books.
Wow. Wow.
So I was very equipped when I came home. You know, when people see me and they talk to me, you know, because I don't really brag about myself, my accomplishments, or the things that I want to do, but I'm very precise in what my plans are and where I'm going with my life.
So after you were released from prison, was there ever a moment where it was really tempting, where you said, you know what, I might do this again. I might be a little bit wiser. I won't get caught this time. Have you been really tempted?
No way. I totally ruled out anything that would send me back to prison. One of the things that I learned about myself is that I can do anything that I put my mind to.
Got it. So just to continue talking about legally monetizing the game, you have something called Freeway Wednesday. What is that?
Well, Freeway Wednesday is a thing that my guy Echo came up with, and you know, I've taken a lot of pictures. You know, one of the things that I pride myself on is I want to have more pictures on the internet than anybody else with other people. Mm. Most of the people who have most of the pictures on the internet, you know, maybe like the Kardashians, those are people taking pictures of them by themselves. But I want to take pictures with other people. You know, I want to celebrate some of the other people that I have run into throughout my life. And so I'm asking people who've taken these pictures with me over the years if they will post these pictures on my social media so I can bring back some of the memories. And some of the pictures just make me, you can see right now, I'm smiling right now because people have sent me pictures and I was just like, wow.
Yes, yes. I love when people send me pictures that I didn't even know that they had. Someone sent me a picture of a Valentine's dinner that I had prepared for a ex-boyfriend, and we took the picture in 1991. They just sent it to me yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, I said the same thing. So let's go on to something else. You're also doing drops. Talk about that.
Well, people call me and ask me all the time, hey, it's my brother's birthday. Will you say happy birthday to him? And I'll be like, man, but I do it anyway. So Echo, again, this is another one of Echo's ideas. Echo came to me. He said, man, you know how people always ask you to do drops and maybe you get a business shout out or whatever, da 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 da. Why don't we start doing that as a business?
Yeah, yeah.
Said I like the idea. Go ahead, run with it.
So how much do you charge for drops?
It varies. I have different packages. $300, $200, $150. It just depends on how much work you want me to do. Because I don't really like the work. I hate work. I just do it. I don't really like it. I just do it.
So if people want you to create a drop for them and to look at your packages, where can they go to get the information?
They can go to my Instagram, my Twitter, all my social media has it on there. I'm not sure exactly if there's a certain website. It will be a website for it eventually, but right now I don't think we have that up.
But right now they could just contact you on social media, on Instagram.
Yeah, they can go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those are on here.
Got it. Now, this last thing, but we're still going to have conversation. You started, what is it? Team Freeway Boxing. I was totally surprised. I did not think that you would enter into that lane. Talk about Team Freeway Boxing and why.
Well, with boxing, when I was in prison, I thought about all the things that had happened to me in my life, and I remember one time I was at a fight, and Don King walked up to the table where we were all sitting at eating, and he shook everybody's hand at the table. And I thought back while I was in prison writing my book, what would have happened that day if I would have told Don King I had $3 million and I wanted to follow him? Where would I be at?
Right.
I thought to myself, I wouldn't be in prison.
True. So that's what launched this Team Freeway Boxing?
That's part of it. Floyd Mayweather picked me up from the halfway house, and I wanted to work with him, but he didn't have it,
So how many boxers do you have on your team?
I think I have 7 right now.
Nice. So is this amateur boxing?
Oh no, this is professional. The best boxers.
Oh.
Some of my guys are some of the best boxers in the world. We're not going to be fighting like these other. A lot of fighters out here. You see them. They handpick their fights, and they won't fight anybody. We're going to fight anybody because we're doing it for the sport and for the fun of it. I don't want to work with guys who are doing it just for money. Some people they get out and they want to fight just for money, but I want my guys to be able to make money outside of the ring, and the ring is the fun part.
Yeah, I bet. Now, we just gave a little screenshot of some of your entrepreneurial efforts. Now, I really just want to capture this moment because getting released from prison, starting all of these brands, it takes some support from either family or friends. What was it like getting support from family or friends so that you could get your life back together and start making some money? What was that like?
Well, my family, when I came home, my family was in bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if my family would have been in better financial shape when I got home, I would be a lot further than I am now. So having the support, my support system wasn't there. you know, my family is dysfunctional when it comes down to doing business. They don't know how to do business. They do not understand business. They don't understand money. They were in bad shape.
Right. I get it. So what about your friends? Friends who called themselves friends, you know, before you went in, while you were incarcerated, and then when you were released, were they still friends who supported?
You know, all my friends sold cocaine. So when I went to prison, they all disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, when somebody that's inside of that circle gets arrested, everybody else take off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
from raid, you spray that raid and the roaches disappear. They always scamming, trying to get away, you know. But and I understand why, because you don't know if the guy who was your friend is going to be your witness against you next week.
Right.
So it's an honest situation, but you know that's how it is.
Got it. You know, so nothing's personal in the drug game. So I get it. It's all business. So it takes a lot.
Yes, look at this here.
What's that?
3 weeks ago, I got a Lifetime Achievement Award in Arizona.
Oh wow, I can't really see it. Hold it up. It's not in front of the camera.
Now,
oh wow, congratulations.
Yes, they get
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
And they tried to give you life behind prison. Look at how God works.
Yes. All the schools that I've been to and talked to the kids, they wouldn't have me if they would have kept me in prison.
Yes. But Rick, that takes a lot of audacity. It takes a lot of audacity to be in prison, to, you know, be illiterate, read over 300 books, go to appeal, win your case, start all of these brands. Where did your audacity come from?
Well, I learned that we come from kings and queens, that we weren't gangbangers, we wasn't prostitutes, we wasn't pimps. You know, we were kings and queens. You know, our ancestors built the pyramids.
Yeah.
We are some amazing people.
Yeah.
If we allow ourselves to be amazing, a lot of times what we do is we muffle ourselves. We put this artificial constraints on ourselves, and that holds us in a position of non-development.
Yeah. But, you know, having the audacity, especially as Black, brown, and indigenous people, it comes with some consequences. Have you ever faced any type of consequence because of your audacity?
Oh, all the time. You know, people don't believe. You know, they did an article on me in LA Magazine. If you ever get a chance, you got to read it. And the guy said that I had the audacity to tell him when he was doing the article that I was going to be the king of boxing, and I'll be telling Black politicians, you know, how they should be politicianing. And I feel that we all should be thinking like that. We all should be telling politicians how they should be politicians.
Yeah.
Because they work for us, not the other way around. A lot of times we give up our power when we really don't have to. So my audacity comes from that I don't care what other people think or say. You know, I'm going to live my life the way I think that it should be lived.
Yeah, I love it. And, you know, I find that people really step into having audacity when they come from environments where their backs were always against the wall. You know, when you come from communities where you don't think that there's a way out, I find that people have the audacity. So I just really wanted you to expand on that, because people think that it's easy to have audacity and that there won't be consequences. What I find is that if you don't have audacity, or even if you do, as people of color, there will always be some sort of consequence. So have a consequence for the right cause. So I'm glad that you stand.
I definitely come from poverty, so probably why I'm so audacious.
Now, I also read something. You said, I have no regrets, only lessons. What was your biggest lesson?
Well, my biggest lesson was that I could have been anything that I wanted to be, that I didn't have to succumb to my environment, you know, because everybody else was selling cocaine. It didn't give me the right to say, okay, I'm going to do it as well. I could have always said, I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to stay clean, and everything I want is going to come to me.
Got it. So what would you tell, let's say, a youth who was deciding on selling crack cocaine for the very first time? What would you tell that youth?
To read my book.
And where can they find your book?
You can get my book at my website, freewayRickyRoss.com. That way, you know, it a lot of times we start things and we don't think it all the way through. But if they read my book, they can see the start, the middle, and the end. They'll pretty much be able to predict how their life is going to turn out if they become a drug dealer. And
your book is amazing. I'm telling you, you were so candid, you know, with your stories. You know, even when you were, you know, what do you call it, stealing cars, hiding out. Like, it is so candid, and I think that that's what, you know, the youth really need to see and to read, because so many things are just whitewashed, and nobody really gives them the truth behind the game. So I'm glad that you wrote that book. We are both encouraging everyone to go out and purchase and read your book. It is a great read. Now let's talk about this beast of social media. You and I are both of a certain age. How did you learn how to, I wouldn't say master, but be comfortable with this beast called social media? How did you learn?
Well, you know, I've been tinkering with social media even before I got out of prison. You know, I probably knew about Facebook before most people on the street knew about it, because I read the Wall Street Journal. I read newspapers every single day, and I can remember when Mark Zuckerberg had said in an article that he was going to be bigger than MySpace, and everybody laughed at him. You know, they was like, how could this little bitty website with only 25,000 people take over MySpace, who at that time was the biggest social media website on the planet. So I've been studying it from the earliest of even from Friendster. You know, I know how MySpace got started. I know why they started MySpace, because I studied the thing, and so when I got out, it was just another part of the evolution to continue to learn the social media, and I'm still doing that right now. You know, I look every day. I'm looking for gurus. You know, people who can help me guide not only myself but my artists, my boxers. You didn't know that I'm getting ready to get into the music business as well.
Well, I'm a singer. Really?
Yes. I'm gonna take the music business by storm as well. And you know, I'm just having fun. You know, to me, they're all like just games. Too often we put so much emphasis on the money aspect of business that we don't have time to enjoy the process of starting a business. And I think that the process should be the most enjoyable time starts a business.
But if I recall correctly, when you came on my show a few years ago, this is a full circle moment, because don't you have history in the music industry? Something with Anita Baker giving her money.
Well,
I
gave the money to Otis Smith, who was the owner of her label, Beverly Glen Music, and I was also supposed to be part owner of that business, but I didn't do my paperwork. You know, brothers from the street, we don't get our paperwork right.
Right. So this label, will it be hip hop, R&B? What type of music?
I'm gonna probably do everything. You know, I'm not gonna limit myself. I'm just looking for great people and great talent.
Got it. So do you currently have any artists under your label?
I'm talking to a couple artists right now.
Nice.
But we don't have anybody signed yet.
Got it. Oh, that's dope. That's what I'm talking about. Legally monetizing the game. I had no idea that you were starting a record label, but it makes sense because, like I said, prior to your incarceration, you were dealing with individuals who owned record labels and record companies. So that's amazing. But back to social media, you know, you are very active on social media. Like I told you, I stalk your Instagram page on a daily basis. You post like 3 or 4 times a day. That's a lot.
I do. You know, I feel that, you know, when I first got out of prison, I had a saying, you know, that I should tell people. Oh, I answer every single phone call that comes in because somebody owes me $10 million. Well, now I have to change that tune, and not only do I answer every single phone call, but I also try to answer every message that I get on social media because somebody owes me $10 million, and they're gonna get in touch with me on social media.
I heard that. I'm gonna start answering all my social media inboxes. But let's just talk about, you know, having a purposeful network and surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, like I told you, I stalked your social media and I saw that and I listen to podcasts all day long, you know, just different podcasts, just trying to figure out what other people are doing. You were on Drink Champs with Nori and DJ Effin. You were on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson.
Yes.
So,
Vlad TV.
Yes, Vlad TV.
Joe Rogan.
That one I was going to talk about with Joe Rogan. With Joe Rogan. When I saw that, I was like, wow. So how do you feel about Joe Rogan's recent scandal, because he was using the N-word in the past? How do you feel about that?
Well, you know what? I like Joe.
Your camera's off, Rick.
Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get it back going.
Yeah, we want to see you. There you go. How do you feel about his past comments?
Well, you know, I sit with Joe twice in doing those interviews, and I can tell you right now, I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan's.
Oh.
I've been trying to get back on the show. He won't let me back on.
Why aren't you a fan of Joe Rogan?
I mean, we cool, but you know, I don't think that people should use you and then disregard you.
Mm.
And I felt that that's kind of what happened. I did his show, you know, when he first started. I was one of the top 80 people, you know, to be on the show. And I've tried to contact him since, you know. I mean, Joe was a good dude. He did me a favor, you know. He gave me a tip. When I went to Joe Rogan, I was doing really bad financially. And I told him that on the show. You can see the show. And I'm telling him, man, I'm doing bad out here, man. It's rough on the pimp.
Hard out here for a pimp.
Yeah. And so I told him, and then he told me that I needed a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how things work. But I was walking down the street one day, and this guy came up, and he said, man, I got a t-shirt idea with you. And anyway, I did the t-shirt idea, and I went back on Joe Rogan, and he put the t-shirt on the air, and the t-shirt, you know, made like $18,000 in like 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So
but now he acts like he don't know you.
Yeah, he act like he don't know me now. So when I got my book done, I was like, man, I need to go back on Joe Rogan. I'll probably make a couple $100,000, you know, with the book. You know, the book sells more than t-shirts in some scenarios. But anyway, he wouldn't bring me back on, so I'm a little upset about that. But I didn't see any racial tendencies toward him or anything like that. And I think when I heard the comments, I was watching him on the news the other day, and I think the way he used the word was not in a racist form.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, do you believe in cancel culture?
Cancer culture.
Cancel, you know, like they're trying to do with Joe Rogan. And, you know, other people, they say things, they pull up comments from 10, 11 years ago, and then they want to cancel you. They don't want to buy your brand. They don't want to engage with you. Do you believe in cancel culture?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I didn't like what they did to Whoopi Goldberg.
Me either.
You know, the way she said it, I don't think that she meant it to be racist. Just like I don't think that when Joe said what he said, he didn't mean it to be racist either. You know, sometimes we take things just a little bit too far, you know. And then, you know, I'm a little biased when it comes down to black people, you know.
Me too. They can't do no wrong.
been through what we've been through, you know, what this country put us through with the American slave trade, you know, slavery, the way they practice it here in the United States was one of the most cruelest things that ever happened to human beings.
Yeah.
You know, really, when they deal with us, it should be dealt with in a total different light than any other race or any other people.
Yeah, I firmly believe that. You know, I still believe that there is modern day slavery. We talked about the lack of equity when it comes to Blacks owning, you know, anything in the cannabis industry. We talk about rezoning. So we are still living in an age of modern day slavery. So I'm hoping that Joe Rogan, your camera went off again. Now you're upside down. Okay, there you go. I'm hoping that Joe Rogan lets you back on his show.
He will. He will.
So?
He will.
Okay.
Everybody's gonna want me on their show.
But why would you want to be on a show that doesn't want you?
Well, it's not their decision. It's my decision.
I heard that.
If it was his decision, I may not go back on. But when I start making the decisions, then it's out of their control. We're doing what I want to do.
But how can you make a decision to be on his show? I don't understand that.
Well, if you get so big that they can't not bring you on, they'll be calling you saying, "Will you please, will you please, pretty please, will you come back on my show?" And I'll be like, "I'll think about it. How much money you got?"
Got it. So, as a former drug kingpin, what do you think about the drug game now? Because I think drug dealers are lazy in 2022. What do you think about the game now?
I don't pay attention to it.
You don't? I do, because I still live in these streets.
I mean, I live in the streets, but I don't know. I just don't see drug dealers anymore.
Me either. Well, a lot of them, and I told you, I was looking at this series hosted by Michael K. Williams, you know, rest in peace. And he was saying that the drug game is now being replaced with scammers. And I was like, that's interesting, because every youth, I wouldn't say every youth, I would say 7 out of 10 youth that I know, they are currently scamming. They don't want to do the drug game. They're scamming.
Yeah, the drug game is dead. I mean, they're not making the kind of money they used to make, and it's just not profitable anymore.
Yeah. So let's just talk about, and we're going to wrap this up really quick. I want to talk about, and you alluded to it earlier on, the residue from your incarceration. You said that the cannabis often helps you sleep because you can't sleep. It also helps you with your nightmares. How do you unpack the residue from your incarceration so that it doesn't show up on a day-to-day basis? What do you do?
Well, you know, I was talking to one of my friends the other day who just got out. He did 40 years. And
oh, wow.
He's a real mean guy. And I told him something like this here. I said, see, these other guys out here, they play like gangsters. You're a real gangster. But you got to start playing like you're a nice guy.
I'm real mean, but I try to act nice.
Hey, don't make me, because I will go back. You know, I'm doing everything I can to keep it clean now. Don't.
But what do you do? Did you ever go to therapy or anything?
No, they don't have therapy for Black guys.
Yes, they do, Rick.
Where?
Everywhere. You just got to search for it. They want us to believe that, you know, there aren't any therapists for us. It takes maybe a longer search, but it is possible. I think that every Black person has trauma that they need to deal with and unpack. And I suggest that every Black person living in America goes to therapy. So I encourage you to do a more extensive search, because you can't be having nightmares, Rick. That's not good.
I don't think they can stop me. You think they can stop? But that's something that's ingrained in my head. It's ingrained in my brain, and you know, that was a trauma.
Yeah, but it's learning how to navigate around the trauma. For me, most recently, I don't know if you know, but I just recently lost my mother. And the trauma is with me all day long, but I'm learning how to navigate around the trauma. So when the trauma shows up, I know how to meet it head on and kind of unpack it and eliminate it. It will show up again, but I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, well, I know how to deal with mine too. Wake up,
Rick. Come on now.
There, shake yourself. Hey,
Rick.
it's not real.
Therapy. I'm going to be checking in with you because I'm really encouraging you. Therapy works wonders.
Okay. I'm gonna look into that.
Okay. So any final words that you want to leave my Sanya on Air audience with?
Yeah, I want to let everybody know that you can be whatever you want to be, but you got to make your mind up. You got to make the sacrifice. It's so important to make those sacrifices. And if you don't make the sacrifices, nobody else can do it for you. You know, one of my friends called me the other morning about 4 o'clock in the morning. He said a statement. He said, I can teach you, I can show you, but I can't comprehend it for you. I'm out of here.
That's so true. Rick, thank you so much for your time. What's up with your camera? Keep going off, Rick. Rick, are you still there? Okay. So he really dropped the mic. He dropped the mic and left the show. I've never in all my years. It's okay. It's only you, Freeway Rick Ross, and you know I love you dearly, so you get a free pass. I'm gonna do that the next time I do an interview. When they ask me, Sanya, any final words that you have, I'm gonna be like, yep, and I'm gonna just walk off. No goodbye, no nothing at all. So there you have it. Another great conversation unpacking pivotal moments and milestones with prison reform activist and entrepreneur, Freeway Rick Ross. Wasn't his story amazing? So if you go back to my Sanya on Air show archive, I interviewed Rick twice. In those interviews, we talked about life when he was a kid, entering into selling drugs, being incarcerated, the appeal process, being released from prison. So I didn't want to talk about that too much in this interview. I wanted to talk about what's happened since then. And as you can see, and as you can hear, Freeway Rick Ross, he's really managed to create such a strong brand behind himself. Let me just give you, again, all the things. LA Kingpins. And he's also opening up a brick and mortar cannabis shop. Twice published author. He has Freeway Wednesday, where people that has taken pictures with him in the past, he's asking them to repost those pictures on social media. He does drops. If you don't know what a drop is, let's say a drop is a celebrity will say, hi, my name is Freeway Rick Ross, and I stay tuned into Sanya on Air. So that's what a drop is, and he's charging people. I need to be charged. Who want a drop? Who want a Sanya on Air drop? Email me at sanya@sanyaonair.net and let's get those drops started. So you can visit Freeway Rick Ross's social media pages, inbox him. He answers his DMs and inquire about his drops, how long the drop has to be, how much work you are asking for, which would entail how much he is going to charge you. He also has Team Freeway Boxing, professional boxers. And he's also starting his own record label. Did y'all catch my audition, my impromptu audition? I don't really send him a tape. So there are a few, not authors, but there are a few artists that I know of. I'm going to slide Rick Ross their CD or MP3. They don't do CDs anymore. I just showed my age, child. MP3, I'm going to forward a few artists MP3 to Freeway Rick Ross. His story is amazing. And the record label. So like I told you, it's a full circle moment. I bet you all didn't even know that back in the day, Freeway Rick Ross gave the founder of Atlantic Records money so that Anita Baker could record her first album. Let me tell you all something. You all do not know how much drug money is poured into some of these iconic music labels that are around today. And we're not just talking about Death Row Records. A lot of major record labels were started by drug money. So make sure, like I told you all, that you subscribe to every Sanya On Air streaming platform. Sanya On Air streams on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Alexa, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, and Castbox. And also make sure that you hit the notification button. There was something else that I was about to say. His comments about Joe Rogan. But what he did say is true. Once you become so big, no one can deny you. No one can deny you. So Freeway Rick Ross says he's going to be so huge that even Joe Rogan won't be able to deny him. I didn't really think that he was going to give Joe Rogan a free pass on his past racist comments. But what I do like to hear is about grace and mercy. I don't believe in cancel culture either. I do believe that when people make mistakes, it is a teachable moment. It is up to, let's say, the Black community. Whenever someone does something that infringes upon our respect that we deserve, I think it is a teachable moment. And I really do want Rick to go to therapy. And I will be checking in with him just to see how he's doing, because he definitely has something major for the culture. So thank you so much for watching Sanya On Air. Make sure that you go out and get your Sanya On Air Empower merch. If you are interested in securing a digital billboard to promote and to increase your brand's visibility, email me at sanya@sanyaonair.net. What else do I have? Sanya On Air Power, Sanya On Air Empower apparel, Sanya On Air digital billboards. And I also said I'm also doing drops. If you want to drop, email me at sanya@sanyaonair.net. What else? Instacart. Make sure that you do all your shopping via Instacart. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into Sanya On Air. Smooches, dolls.